Um, well, I don't want to draft one.
Mm,
I understand why people do, and I like the idea of sitting somebody behind Rodgers, kind of having that opportunity to, to develop somebody for a minute before we throw them to the wolves. Like that's something we don't do here. So it'd be nice to see us have that opportunity. But at the same time, man, I think, just like with the last draft, like we blew it last draft, in my opinion. It should have been I mean, what we have 6 picks, 5 of them should have been offense, and right out of the gate. Like the Tippmann pick is the only one that really made sense. I guess Carter Warren did too. Izzy, I mean, we're not using him. I didn't
mm.
see the need for him. Um, I would have preferred a wide receiver, quite frankly. And there were I don't remember off the top of my head, but there were definitely wide receivers I liked there. So I think like this year you gotta like you can't. I said it in my podcast this week. Like you can't steal second and still stay safe at first. Like you
Yep.
gotta if you're gonna make the move, you gotta commit to it and go, man. You can't hesitate. You have to go. And that's what I like. We went and we got Aaron Rodgers. Why are we bringing in Billy Turner and Wes Schweitzer and you know what I mean? And 3 undrafted free agent wide receivers. Like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? It should have been stud after stud after stud, overkill. And I'm hoping that they're like, all right, that's it. Like all guns blazing. I'd like to see them use that top pick. If you're not going to get an offensive tackle, like let's say Marvin Harrison Jr. is on the board when you're there, I think you got to take him, right?
Agreed.
But if he's not, like if him or like Alt aren't there, then you trade out, dude. And I mean, as long as it's not out of the top 10, you know what I mean? Like you slide back a little bit and you recoup your second round pick and you use all this stuff to bolster what you need for Aaron Rodgers. Protect him and give him outlets. And that should be the entire offseason, in my opinion. So no
So
quarterback in the draft.
how about this little scenario? I kind of cooked this one up yesterday. I love the idea of a trade down. I really do. Now, I wouldn't trade down if you had Marvin Harrison Jr. or Alter for Shanu, but if you lose those three, then I think you can start opening the door a little bit more because I like Neighbors, but I feel like the size profile is a little different than what I'd want. I would not mind moving down, nabbing Keon Coleman, who I think is a freak down at FSU, and then in the mid rounds, like round 3 or 4, draft his quarterback from FSU. Was it Jordan Travis?
Yeah,
Have him sit. He's hurt right now. He was a ankle or foot. I don't remember what it was, but you let him sit for a year or two. Then you got that Burrow Chase type, chemistry from college already. He's got the high upside, and you get a weapon for Rodgers right now, plus the trade down where you get all the extra stuff. So I don't think you necessarily lose out, but you'd have to stock the cupboard on O-line before doing that, I feel like.
One more thing from me before we move on from this one. Just Green mentioned it, and you mentioned it too, which I think is important. I'm not against the move down, but if they're in a spot where Harrison or Alt are available, I think both of those guys are too good to pass up on.
I agree.
So if you're on the clock and one of those guys are on the board, I think you have to pull the trigger. The interesting thing for me is if they're both on the board, what do you do? I am usually more team offensive lineman, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is so good that might be the difference for me. And I might try to figure out offensive line somewhere else or be like, all right, I guess AVT is going to play right tackle and try to find a guard in the middle rounds.
Yeah, for me, I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. If he winds up falling past 3, if you can wind up getting him at pick 4 or 5, whatever like that, I think you run up to the podium and you do it. And then you have your immediate generational wide receiver to pair with Garrett Wilson. You're probably already adding a wide receiver in free agency prior to that because you don't know if Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to go before you right now unless you wind up with like the 2 pick or something silly like that. But if you wind up with the 2 pick, I would trade out for a haul. I don't want to take like Marvin Harrison Jr. or an offensive lineman at 2 if we can have someone leapfrog the Patriots to get their quarterback and we get a haul. Like that would make me feel real good. Where do you guys fall, before we get to more super chats, where do you guys fall on Brock Bowers right now, the tight end out of Georgia? I'm like not a big fan of tight end in the first round, but like more and more people are talking to me about Bowers and like the guy is special. He's like 6'5" or whatever monster size he is. If he's deemed like the second best pass catcher in this draft, is he worthy of a top 10 pick? Or like, because this isn't a good tight end class. There might be like 2 tight ends like before like the 3rd or 4th round. Green Bean, I'll throw it to you first because I know you're a tight end guy.
Yeah, well, it's tough to justify a tight end that high, but I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it, man.
So the argument was the Jets' second player behind Will McDonald was Michael Mayer, tight end from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So there could be some realistic, shot the Jets are going that way.
Especially because we're cutting Uzoma, without question. He's gone. I don't know how, Kenny Yeboah is probably gone. I mean, he's still around. He's coming off injury. Maybe that's what we need. But, I think, it makes sense, dude. He's a receiver. He's a huge, big, strong dude. He's my kind of tight end. I would not hate it. I don't know, man. I'm torn right now. I wouldn't hate it.
It's too early too, I think, to really like know what we want. But like, it's an interesting question that I've had raised a few times. Matt, where do you fall on this with us?
Yeah, it's hard. I lean no, but at the same time, like if that's what they decided to do, I don't think I could like flip out and be like mad over it. Like I'd be almost kind of how I felt about the Brees pick. I was like, okay, I get it. Probably not what I would have done, but I totally get it. Yeah. I think that would be my reaction because I think you should be able to have it with good quarterback play and an improved offensive line. To me, Tyler Conklin and Jeremy Ruckert is a serviceable 1-2 punch at tight end. I'm not saying it's elite. Yeah. It's not an amazing group, but it's solid. You could do a lot worse than that. But then again, at the same time, like adding a Bowers, who's like a legit difference maker would be fun. And I'm not going to be opposed to it.